What's up, guys? My name's Amanda. Sometimes I go by Amanda the Jedi, and welcome to the spoiler-free edition of my Solo review. If you guys have seen Solo and want to talk a little bit more about some of the spoilers, I'm going to try to remember to put a card up there that has a link to that. Otherwise, it's the last video I would have put out. Otherwise, just feel to chill here and get a little bit more of the, you know, just my... Rock yeah! But if you just kind of want to know some of my overall thoughts and opinions on the movie, feel free to stick here. So before I even get into this, I just need to address something. So when it comes to the Disney era of Star Wars movies, you get a lot of people who shit on them, which is totally fine, and a lot of people who don't like them, which again, all totally fine. And if you're one of the people who thinks that the Star Wars universe should have just ended after the prequels were done, the rise and fall of Vader all happened and played out, that's totally okay. You can complain about all this stuff. But for people who actually enjoy Star Wars movies and want more to be made, I need to know where the thought is there that everything started going downhill when Disney took over. Disney is not necessarily doing as well as I thought they were going to be doing. They're really struggling with expanding the story and the way that they want. And they might be putting out too many movies for like how people are receiving them. But Star Wars has literally had issues since Return of the Jedi. A lot of people had issues with Return of the Jedi. The prequels are constantly shit on, and then that led into where we are now. So I don't understand why people have it, and even if you think Return of the Jedi is amazing, I don't understand where the logic is that it's all just going downhill now. Like, there's been issues before this. You know, George Lucas made tons of mistakes with his own franchise. And yeah, sure, you can complain about the Disney stuff, but I need to get that out of the way, that some people go like way overboard with the Disney hate as if it was all up here and then immediately plummeted. So getting that out of the way. But I went into this movie with very low expectations. I thought the trailers looked pretty mediocre. I didn't really like the way the guy playing Han was kind of acting in the trailers with the scenes they chose to use for the trailers. And obviously I didn't really know, other than it being like a Han Solo origin style story, I didn't really know what to expect. So I went into it with very low expectations. I was excited to see how Donald Glover did as Lando Calrissian, and that was pretty much it, and just kind of interested to see how Han meets Chewie. So when I got into Solo last night, I was trying to keep myself at a baseline low. I was hoping for the best, but I would have been expecting the worst. But luckily, I was pleasantly surprised. I understand that a lot of people are gonna have problems with this movie, and I've already had people coming at me saying that I like to suck Disney's or whatever because I enjoyed this movie, which I have clearly pointed out my issues with Star Wars movies in the past, and I openly say that Star Wars is not the best franchise, it's not an amazing franchise, there are things that other movies have done better, but it doesn't mean that I just can't like the universe that's created, and I love Jedi as a concept. I love lightsabers, I love Sith, I love all of that mythos, so I'm super into that, which is another reason why it's interesting that I enjoyed this movie so much, because my favorite part of The Last Jedi is all the stuff involving Jedi and the Force and the lightsabers and all that kind of stuff. And that's probably another reason why I like the prequels so much, is because there is such just this strong emphasis on, like, there's so many Jedi still alive, you know? It's great. I love all that stuff. But I was pleasantly surprised by this movie. I thought that the guy who played Han actually did way better than I expected him to. A lot of the cheesy lines, and I don't mean like cheesy, like fun cheesy, I mean the bad cheesy that we saw in the trailers, it was like intentional in the movie. It's like you watched it and you're like, oh, okay, he's supposed to be coming off like a tool right now. So it worked out. In the trailer, it made it sound like he was trying to be cool and sincere, and the whole like, I got kicked out for having a mind of my own. I know he doesn't sound like that, but you know what I'm getting at. Emilia Clarke did a great job with the Kira character. There's some stuff going on with her that I wish they had gone into a bit more detail with, but I'll leave it at that for the spoiler-free review. I'll just say that she did a really good job, and she was a compelling character with a compelling backstory that I would love to know more about. Even if it's a book, I'd be cool with the book. I'd be cool with it. In terms of the Han origin story, I honestly wish we had seen a little bit more. You just kind of get sparked into a moment where you have a general idea of why he's in the situation he's in, without getting the deeper explanation as to how we got there. Basically, if they just done a little bit more to bridge the gap into that intro, would have been, in my opinion, really, really good. But overall, I like the story, I like the character interactions. It was a fun ride. I know that the word getting thrown around for a lot is generic, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. You can have a generic movie that's still very enjoyable, and I do think that some of the themes that they started going into with this movie, if they get continued in the future, or if they look into similar themes in other installments were really great, and it's a really great thing to look into and very topically appropriate. And those particular themes left me wanting more. I want to know more about what was going on there. There was some really nice imagery in certain scenes where just kind of things I can't say anything without giving away spoilers, but there was just really nice choices with how they did things with song placement. Even like there's one moment where something happens and there's just like a little twinkle of like classic Star Wars music, and it's just so perfectly placed, and it was like little things like that are really well done. Like I feel like Star Wars has always done well with the music, and this was no exception. If anything, a lot of it really stood out, and where they put certain arrangements at certain moments where it was really well done. Also, no spoiler, there's just this one moment, like obviously you know that Han's gonna end up on a spaceship at some point, but he ends up, when he's on the Millennium Falcon and it like blasts off, and he's just looking at all the stars going by the window, and he just has this huge, just innocent, beautiful smile on his face. That was just such a good moment for me. It was just such a pure moment of this is what somebody has been waiting his whole life to get to. This is a Han before he's been a little bit more broken. Obviously the Han we get in the original trilogy, he's rough, he's cynical, he's a badass, he uses a lot of humor to protect himself, and you see where that comes from in this movie, but he's still a lot more young. He's a lot more naive, he's a lot more innocent, even though he's a badass, even though he's like, I'm super tough and I've gone through all this shit, I know how to take care of myself. There is still that innocence in him, that he is truly a good person. So I like that, and like anybody who knows me knows that like anytime somebody asked me if I was excited for Solo, I was like, I am hesitantly optimistic. And that is how I worded it, because I was honestly expecting the worst, but I genuinely enjoyed it. I'm gonna see it again. I kind of do enjoy what they're doing with these Star Wars stories. Originally, I was like, why are they doing this? Can't they just continue a story or go back in time? Like, I've been a big proponent of fuck what's happening in the future after the original trilogy. Let's go all the way back to the old Republic. Let's go back to like old shit. Tons of Jedi. Bunch of Sith, let's do that. Or even just Rule of Two, Darth Bane, let's do a Darth Bane movie. I've always been about that life, but I really enjoyed what they did with this movie. Honestly, after this movie, I'm more excited for what's happening in this little subsection of the universe than I am in what's happening in the main storyline. Because I have no sweet clue what they are going to do in episode 9 or how they're going to make a storyline out of what happened in the last 2 movies, but that is gonna do it for today's video. Again, if you didn't like it, like be sensible. Don't just go at people because they like things. Like, I know that I can go pretty ham on Avatar, but I'm not gonna tell somebody that they're sucking James Cameron's peen because they like Avatar. I'm just gonna say, these are the reasons I don't like Avatar and I hate it, but you can like whatever you want. Because if whatever makes you happy, as long as it doesn't hurt other people, is fine by me. The world is a dark enough place without having people shitting on everything you like and hold dear. So if you don't like it, I'm sorry. If you think it ruins your childhood and love of Star Wars, I am genuinely sorry, but it's out there. Might as well just go into it with some low expectations and maybe try to enjoy it. So that is gonna do it for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. Again, if you have seen Solo and want to talk about some of the spoilers, card up here, go click that video. It's the last video I uploaded, but yes, thank you so much for watching. Have a fantastic day. I'll catch you all later. Also, if you guys like streams, if you're watching this, I'm probably very close to starting my stream or already streaming. So feel free to stop by at twitch.tv/AmandaJedi. Let me help you get through your Friday.